All right, that seems to be okay. Let's go over here. Let's go live. Okay. Am I live at this very moment? We shall find out shortly. Check. Yeah, that seems to be working. I'll go back out of the stream and back into it perhaps. Yeah, working. Yeah, that seems to be working. I'll go back out of the stream and back into it perhaps. Cool. Okay, I won't bother with any of the posting. This is going to be a shambles one. It's going to be shambles, I tell ya. Chaotic. Alright, go over there. Let's go over to this one. Cool. And I'll just make sure that I'm recording still over here. That's still coming through okay. Yep. Here we go. Okay, welcome everyone to another end of month book recap. You've got Kyron here as usual from the Mere Mortals book reviews, and we're going to be going over all of the books that we read mostly in this month of September 2023. There'll be one that's released after this, but I'll talk about that at the end. So we'll talk a little bit more about them in general, just a couple of extra little notes that didn't make it into the actual book reviews. Got some Boostergram Lounge to go over, some people to thank for helping support the show, what's coming up for October of 2023, and then finally, some changes that are coming to the channel, some big changes, so stay tuned to the end for that, because there is going to be quite a few things that are different. But before we do that, let's get on to the actual book. So the book that I liked the most from this month was Bitter Orange Tree by Joka Al-Hathi. Once again, mispronouncing her name. So the reason, I think I casually mentioned this, was that the reason I read this was there was a book review club, which I actually joined, which was, if you've ever checked the YouTube comments of this channel, you'll see Nastia in there a lot. Anastasia Safranova, I believe is how you pronounce her name. I don't know. I know her as Nastia. And she invited me to join this kind of like little online book club that she was creating with a couple of friends of hers in Dubai, and she's got 3 or 4 book clubs, something like that. And it was pretty fun actually going to. So first of all, I read the book and then I did the review before I went to the club. So I wanted to make sure the review was my notes, what I took from it. But it really is funny how people can have differing opinions on basically the same. You're reading the same thing, but one, for example, I was very much of the opinion that the grandmother was the main character in the tale, whereas a couple of the other ladies, well, one lady in particular, was more of the opinion that the daughter, the Zuhur, was the actual main character. And just what people take out from it, the stories that they really notice, it's like everyone picks up on their own little things, which it's kind of refreshing, it's kind of cool, and then it's also nice being able to have my own opinion, my own say. And we did seem to converge on certain themes, so such as the we all came away from it being like, dang, that was a bit of a sad tale. Also a little bit confused at the ending. This was something I didn't really notice, but the last chapter in the book is it's kind of confusing. You have this whole sad tale of the grandmother of Bint Amir, and then all these bad things happening to her, and then right at the end she's like, I love my dad, even though I never got to see him and he deserted me, but he's so cool and he was kind to me. And it was a very strange ending to have. So that was one of the things I didn't pick up on per se. And I don't know if I'd ever do like a book club per se. It'd be kind of fun to perhaps build one around this channel, but because I read so many books, I'm not sure most other people can keep up with it. So it would maybe be like, here's the 4 or 5 books that I'm going to read this month. If you wanted to join me, that could be something that might be worthwhile. So yeah, if there's any interest in that, please hit me up, because yeah, I did actually quite enjoy doing the book club, and I've got all the resources to be able to do a like a little book meeting or something. And by having multiple books to choose from of what I'm going to read in the month, I think it makes it a bit more interesting, because everyone reading the same book, whilst is okay, it might not be a book that you want to read, and I don't want to force people to read stuff that they don't want to. So yeah, if other people are interested in something like that, I'd be yeah, that could be something fun that we'll do. But we'll just keep going on with the review. So the next one, I gave a 7 out of 10 to The Bitter Orange Tree. The next was The Diving Bell and the Butterfly. I gave a 6.5 for this one. Man, just what a sad, absolutely horrible tale. I seem to have read a couple of rather sad books this month. I did without intentionally, although none of them really hit to the bone deep for myself, because I think they were just different enough. You know, there was the Amani girl and her circumstances. Obviously, I don't have locked-in syndrome like Jean-Dominique Balbi, so I don't have that. And some of the other books, they weren't so traumatic, I guess, in a sense. So yeah, but this one, it's just I mean, it's amazing that he even managed to write the book, to be honest. Just the style with the blinking, how long it would have took. I actually thought it would take longer. Apparently it only took 3 months or 4 months of the blinking to be able to communicate that full book, which is rather impressive, because I would have thought it would have taken years to do that. So he did rather well to even create it. And yeah, there's nothing more to add to this. If anyone's seen the movie of this, I would be intrigued to know what you thought of the movie. If it was a good, bad, indifferent, average. I mean, it wouldn't be. I'm struggling to think how they made a movie from it, other than taking his perspective inside of his body. Would be intriguing to see how they went about that. The next one that we had was Swearing is Good for You by Emma Byrne. And this one I didn't like as much. I gave a 5.5 out of 10 to. It's comparable to humor. It's kind of like this being swearing, is that you need to have an emotional understanding of others to tell a successful joke. And which is very much on like the right side of the brain. And so with the swearing aspect, it's kind of, you do need this cultural context, this background, and of other people, of the situation, to be able to really swear in the correct manner, which I think is why it's so hard to do it in another language. There's a lot of complexities. It can be fun. There's no doubt it can be fun, but I can see, other than just like, oh, this guy's just using out some words, and it's kind of fun because they don't really know how to use the word. That's what makes it fun. So you can really only do it with close friends. Whereas if you're chucking it out there as just a random person on the street, just a couple of swear words here and there, you're invariably going to get it wrong. The book itself was, it was kind of like popular science, which was not my favorite genre. I'll say it just feels a little bit shallow, the overall. So yeah, I gave that a 5.5 out of 10 to. And then we had Juan's book review as well on Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance by Robert M. Pirsig. I had actually read this book a decade ago. I'm going to say more than a decade ago. I read this book in 2011/12. It was on that boundary point between those 2 years. So it was actually quite cool seeing his review. A fantastic one. That was probably one of the best ones I think he's done, for sure. It kind of gripped me because I'd read the book before. It was actually one of the times I really wanted to read a book review, because I don't know if I really want to go back to it and read the full book, but it would be nice to get some passages, to some highlights from it, some things that I might have forgotten. And yeah, it was I'd forgotten just how much about it was about the travel and describing the scenery, whereas I still had in my mind it's a real philosophical book. And it brought back some really old memories for me, because that was kind of a very distinct moment in my life. It was one of the first times I'd moved away from home for a little bit. I was on my own, independence. I'd made a really cool friend. So it was kind of a very evocative book review for me. And so I think Juan did a fantastic job of it. And he gave a 7 out of 10 to that. So that's a decent review. So that's the books that came out on the channel before this was published. There's one that's coming out still in the month of September, but I'm going to put it in the October recap because there's no point talking about it now if you haven't seen the actual book review. So let's jump on to thanking some people for helping to support this channel. So once again, this is a value for value show. If you get value from this, if you enjoy the book reviews, if there's something that you take away from this, first of all, I'm really glad, I'm happy. I'm glad that I'm doing something of value. But it requires for me to continue. It requires for you to send some value back. And this can be by sharing the show with others. It can be by giving me book recommendations. It could be by telling me if you want to be in a book club or if that's something that would interest you. And you can also support monetarily, which is the people, as you're appearing on your screen, have done over this past month. Got a couple of boosts in and a couple of streaming. So I saw Cole McCormick boosting twice, and he said with a 5492, which would have been through Fountain for the Mark Twain Roughing It book review. He says, Mark Twain sounds so cool. I've never read his books. Love the talk in as Smerican spirit. And then the next boost afterwards is a row of ducks, 2222. He says, American Smerican. So yeah, look, highly recommended. I love Mark Twain. He's probably easily in my top 5 authors. And these would be people like George Orwell, Mark Twain, John Steinbeck. They're kind of the cream of the crop as far as I'm concerned of authors. Other people have really good individual books, but those are the types of people who have consistently pretty good books. George Orwell, maybe not so not. Like his 1984 Animal Farmer classics, they're absolutely amazing. Homage to Catalonia is pretty interesting for the historical aspect. Some of the others you can kind of, and same Road to Wigan Pier, some of the others coming up for air, was it like Keep the Apodistra Flying? Yeah, those are a little bit iffy. You don't need to read those as much. He's got some really good short stories as well. This is about Mark Twain. Mark Twain's fantastic. Read some of his books. Cole, do it. And then I saw a whole bunch of streams here from Ashley Glenday, and she was going to some of the older books as well. So we had in here Why Television Kills Irrationality. So this was Amusing Ourselves to Death. She checked out the Bitter Orange Tree one as well. So sending in some sats to help support the show is very much appreciated. You can find out more about how to do this on meremortalspodcast.com/support. And you can also send in a PayPal if you want to do it in a non-technical manner. That's probably the easiest way of doing it. So very much appreciated, everyone. Once again, if you send in 100,000 sats, you get a Mere Mortal shirt. It's a limited edition. So very much a little bit of an incentive there for you to do that as well. Let's go on to what's coming up for October of 2023. Well, I have just now recorded the book review for The Body Keeps the Score by Bessel van der Kolk. This is the last book review that you will see in the same format that I have normally done it. And one of the reasons for this was I've got my book of notes here. And so every book review I've done on this channel, I think every book review has made it into a note somehow. And I got to the very end. There was the last page just here. And so that was also somewhat of a trigger for me to decide to do a new format. A couple of other books that are coming up for this month are, I'm also reading If Not Now, When, I think is what it's called, by Primo Levi. I've also got some books by Cicero, so the ancient Greek politician. And one of those is called On Government. I'll probably stick through it. It's a little bit of hard reading at the moment, but I think it's worthy of trying to get through. And then I've just got, just a whole bunch of other ones. And I know Juan is reading a book about sleep. Was it sleep? I think it was sleep. Or health. It was a health-related science book. So he's reading that at the moment, so that might come out on the channel. So what are the changes, these mysterious changes that you were talking about, Karen? So with the value for value, it all depends on me. I've got to create the value for you up front and make a product something that is worthy of value. And The book reviews, I would say, have rather stagnated for a time. It feels like I'm putting them out there, especially just, I'm putting out, I think, relatively good, highly edited videos on YouTube. I really try and create a structure which I think is good for learning and understanding and helping. I create these notes. I spend a lot of time doing that, and honestly, just the payoff has not been worth it. So I want to change it up. I want to streamline the process. I want to make things easier and just try out some different things, because obviously they're not, even though they're certainly helping me in categorize my thoughts, the format of the book. But if they're not serving a purpose for other people, if they're not getting enough value, and I've been doing it long enough now that it should be returning in different ways. And look, I have had some really great experiences. Not saying, the book club with Nastia, that was a very cool experience. That was a new one. Cole and Ashley sending in some sats is very much appreciated. I just want to do this better. I want to experiment with something new. And so what are the changes coming up? Let's get to the heart of it. Number one, I'm going to start doing them live. So barring computer issues, mine has just actually started, like one of the USB ports stopped working. The audio has stopped playing for some reason. So those are two new developments. But barring that, I want to be going live. And so I've yet to pick a date or a time yet. I'm thinking on a Monday morning for myself. To be determined. You'll find out more about that. I'll talk about that in the actual reviews. They're probably going to be a bit looser, so I'm going to use more notes on my phone. I take notes and then I expand them out and really think hard about them and do that. I'm thinking I might transition to more of a off-the-cuff, more subjective. I try and go from objective to subjective at the moment, and you'll see that with the synopsis, the themes, and then I get to personal observations and then the summary. I'm probably going to change that up. I'm probably going to just maybe do a more stream of consciousness. I don't know if I'll do as many book readings out, because when I'm doing the live book reviews, I've got to have access to the book, obviously, and it's easier to manage, I suppose, the books when I've got them on a set schedule, so I'll know when I need to return it to the library and things like that. So there probably will be a little bit less reading out of passages, once again, unless people tell me. Is there something that you would really value? That's what I really want to know. I'm going to put less effort into the thumbnail. I'm probably just going to put a picture of the author instead of putting my face over it. It's been fun, and I know people enjoy it, but once again, it's just, what's the point? I'll still try and do these things where I'll have some highlighted images, for example, on the screen, because I still like doing chapter art and things like that. But yeah, I really just want to try and make this a more streamlined, easier process for myself, because that would be better. Two, with all of this, because I'm doing it live, I can now acknowledge people and thank people week on week. So that is, I think, a significant change, and probably why the book, the boostergrams and feedback, why that hasn't been as sharp, as big, because you send something in and it's only at the end of the month that I really acknowledge it. And so, so I really want to make that feedback loop a lot tighter. I think that's a very important aspect to the value for value model. So I'm going to be doing that. Honestly, I'm just going to try encouraging different things. Some days I'll probably be saying, like, come check out the Discord. I'm doing things over there. Some days I'll be highlighting, perhaps a book club. Some days I'll be, doing just whatever I can to, I suppose, build a bit more of a community and engagement, and really find out what you at home, dear listener, dear reader, is what you find valuable, because all of this has been really fun, but I need to make this better. I need to make this stronger, provide more value, obviously, because it feels like I'm not getting as much in return as I would like for the effort that I'm putting out. So hence the changes. So that's probably the main ones. Can't remember. Yeah, that should probably be it. So thank you once again for everyone, for Cole and Ashley for supporting the show, for Nastia for inviting me to her book club, gave me an opportunity. It was my favorite book of the month. So that was a good thing, and it's not a book that I would typically read. Once again, time, if you want to support the show, please share it with someone else. These are videos on YouTube. They are audio, so you can get the best of both worlds by doing it that way. I'm going to be doing talent, so obviously like book reviews. Come on, people, give me some books that are your favorites. What's your best of all time? What is something that you think would perhaps help me if I was talking about the music industry recently on the Mere Mortals? If you know any good books about music, please tell me. So that's probably one of the best ways that you can help in the talent wise and returning some value to me. And then finally, helping to support the show monetarily. Once again, meremortalspodcast.com/support. There's a PayPal link in any of the show notes down below. There's also a way for you to send in a boostergram if you use a better app, a new podcast app, and something like Fountain or Podverse. And that really does help support the show, support me, and I can help support you back with a freaking awesome t-shirt if you send in 100,000, which is about 45 Australian dollars as of this moment speaking. So that's it for today, everyone. Thank you for joining me, and enjoy the last book review that comes out after this of The Body Keeps the Score. That'll be the last one in the traditional format, and then from then on we're going to be moving to the new one. And Juan as well, I'll have to discuss with him about what he wants, how he wants to do it. He won't have the time to do it live on a set schedule like I do. So he'll either have to pre-record, or maybe he can do bonus episodes just during the week or something. We'll see. We'll manage that. But I really do want to keep this constant live thing of being able to thank people, new developments that have been happening, all that sort of stuff throughout the week. So that's it for today. Thank you everyone for joining me, and ciao for now.